A daring prison escape undetected for nearly a year, and a story that's now grabbed the attention of many parts of South Africa. Following a series of exposés by Ground Up, the Correctional Services Department has now confirmed that the badly burned body found in Thabo Bester's Mangaung prison cell in May last year is not his. Now the hunt is on for the so-called Facebook rapist who's lived the high life, it seems, both in and out of prison. We're joined now by Singabakho Nxumalo from the Correctional Services Department, who joins us virtually from Pretoria. Singabakho, thank you for your time. As always, quite a turn of events here with the statement released by your department today. And it seems the story has moved very fast, especially based on conversations you had with my colleagues when the story first broke, when at the time you said, look, as far as we're concerned, Thabo Bester is indeed dead. And now we have this statement from Correctional Services giving details of that autopsy by the DCS. Why did it decide to conduct that autopsy? Or, in fact, was the autopsy conducted a while ago and its results only now made public?
A very good afternoon, and thank you for having us. The previous interviews that we did with your channel were clear in saying that the statement that we issued on the date of May 2022 was based on the report that we received from Mangaung Correctional Center, which is a public-private partnership facility contracted to Bloemfontein Correctional Contracts operated by G4S. And they indicated to us that Thabo Bester had committed suicide by setting himself alight in the cell. And we also stated that an occurrence of this nature will amount to an unnatural death, meaning that an investigation needed to be launched and such an incident needed to be reported to the SAPS. And we did indicate that should the findings of our investigation indicate to something else, we will publicly state that. And we've conducted our investigation. We fully understand that a number of people were running out of patience, saying that why is it taking such a long time? It had to be because there were quite a number of elements that we're looking at, but also different entities running different investigations. And our findings have been now brought to the fore, meaning that we looked at what the postmortem said, indicating that the body that was found in cell 35 at Mangaung Correctional Center stated that it was that of an adult male with blunt force trauma to the head, and that could not be linked to an inmate who was in a cell who had committed suicide. But it went further to say there were no signs of smoke inhalation, and that his internal organs such as the pancreas and the spleen were in the early stages of decomposition. Surely that cannot be someone who just committed suicide to us a few hours earlier. So as a department, we even went further to say, what does the DNA sequencing says to us, tested against the mother of Thabo Bester, and it failed to indicate a common ancestor or match. Hence then, as a department, we concluded that this body could not be that of Thabo Bester. Then the question is, where is Thabo Bester? And then the Correctional Services Act is very clear. When you have an inmate that you cannot account for and is not in your facility, it's not dead, is nowhere to be found, that person means that has escaped. Hence, we have concluded that this person, Thabo Bester, escaped on the date of May 2022. Hence, now the main hand is on because we have to find him so that we can account for his whereabouts.
Perhaps you could just help me understand then. Are you saying that it's taken a year for this investigation that you said was as part of your regular process with questionable incidents such as this has taken place, and that it just happens to be that this finding or conclusion of this autopsy and that investigation has now been released, and it's got nothing to do with all of the information that's come out through those reporting of Ground Up, and indeed through all of the information that was made available by quite a number of South Africans via social media? Are you saying that the timing is just a mere coincidence, that your findings have now come out so close to all of this information being in the public domain?
How it works is that an incident will occur And this being a private facility, and the Act makes it clear that we need to have a controller who is a DCS employee located there. And in terms of the Act, the controller appointed 2 officials from Correctional Services to start with the investigation. And indeed, they started. But as they were busy with that investigation, it became clear that there were quite a number of elements that they needed to look into. And other institutions were also doing other investigations, such as the SAPS and the Judicial Inspectorate. And in the course of that work, there were quite a number of things that they looked into. Some of them you will need collaboration from other law enforcement agencies, and it took long because you find that access to part of the information that you will want to study is not made available on time, and it will also require quite a lot of engagement and convincing people to say, no, we need that. And other people that needed to be investigated, getting statements from them. Some of them were nowhere to be found. Some were not willing to cooperate. It was not just an easy process where you will say you have everyone easily available and then you can easily source information. Hence, then it has taken us this long, and we understood the pressure. Hence, we even said when this issue started really making more footprint, we said we are appealing to the investigators to move towards finishing this investigation so that we could account to the public. So it is not like the department was just taking its own time. We did feel the pressure, and it was justified. But then at least now we're at a stage where we can say we've concluded this leg of the investigation, but the other one by SAPS is still continuing, and other agencies are also looking at other elements.
Singabakho, if I could just come in, I totally understand that these kinds of processes do take its time, especially in South Africa, where the wheels turn rather slowly when it comes to these kinds of investigations, especially if it involves DNA and that kind of thing. Can you confirm with us, however, whether those investigative teams, the various arms of it, did take into consideration the information that came to the fore by those who came onto social media and said, I've had run-ins with this person, I've had a similar modus operandi used, here are photos, here's evidence. There was the reporting from the investigative work done by Ground Up. Are you saying none of that had an impact on the fact that you've now come out with this statement confirming what happened in that cell over a year ago?
What was happening here is that you had different agencies running with investigations looking at different elements. And they will make particular findings, they will access other part of the information. And some of it, unfortunately, will leak. Some of it, you may find that it has not been officially brought to us as Correctional Services, and you cannot then make such information public when it has not been presented to you officially. And some of it was frustrating even to those agencies, because I'll give you a typical example. If you are saying you are doing DNA sequencing, you are brought, someone is brought to say this is the mother. How sure are you that indeed this is the mother or this is the uncle? You also had such elements to say, yes, we've done sequencing, but how sure are we that this indeed is a relevant person? So there were all those dynamics. Hence, it was not a question of saying, okay, we've received it, okay, let's go out and publish it. But it's a matter of saying, we've received this report officially from an institution, brought to us officially, then we can release it. So as a department, we need to be careful so that we do not release information out there that has not been affirmed by a relevant authority. So hence we are saying, at least now we're at a stage where we've said everything that is in our position has been given to us officially, and we've studied that, and we've made our own findings.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. So many more questions that need to be answered. I'm sure our colleagues will be following up with you a little later, but sadly we have indeed run out of time. That's Singabakho Nxumalo from the Department of Correctional Services. We'll be back at the top of the hour with more news. Thanks for staying with us.